Hello friends, welcome back to my studio. I hope you're well. I haven't actually been in the studio much this week. My partner and daughter were involved in a car accident. They're absolutely fine. They're quite shaken and a bit sore, but they're fine. Could have been a whole lot worse. They were actually on holiday at the top of the state from where we live, so about a 4-hour drive away, and the car was not drivable after the accident, so I actually had to travel up to Albury to rescue them. So I did an 8-hour drive on Tuesday, which is normally a studio day. So I'm just really grateful that they're okay. Of course, it's been another blow to my nervous system, and I've become quite muddled as to what the video for you this week was even going to be. I've been jumping around all sorts of things, but I thought I would just come back to what I have been doing. And I've been working on these little landscapes, and I've shown them in a little more detail over on Instagram, and they were based on this sketch I did, which of course was based on those colour palettes that I talked about, the Golden Titan Pale range. From going from those sketches in the little sketchbook to the canvas again, I've realised how much I enjoy working on paper. I think I've said this before, but I have this belief that art, it has to be on canvas or it's not art. And of course there's many art forms that are created on anything but canvas, but when you're a fine artist or a painter, there's this false belief that they have to be on canvas. What I've realised is on the canvas, the paint stays a little bit more wet than it does on the paper. The paper of the sketchbook, I'll just grab it. This little sketchbook is, don't even know the brand. It hasn't even got, obviously the brand of the sketchbook was on the label, but so I can't tell you. The paper is quite thick and quite absorbent, so yeah, it was really lovely. I realized, not at the time when I was working on it but I've realized that I really like the way the paint is absorbed in the paper. And on the canvas, of course, because it's gessoed, the paint sits up on the top of that, and it also takes a while to dry. Now, if you like to work with blending and you like that slower drying time, then the canvas is great that it sits up on top of that gessoed surface. But I think I'm really going to focus on working on paper. I'm really enjoying it, and I think too the speed of it for me with the little pieces, even though they're only 6x6, so they're very quick to do. I had to keep getting the hairdryer out to dry the paint for me, and I don't think it makes a difference to the end result, but it does, of course, as it's drying. You can really see the plasticness of acrylic paint when you get that dry film on top and it's still squishy and wet underneath, which I don't like. So yeah, so to move these pieces forward, I could continue, of course, to work in this colour palette for a long while, but I was thinking about how I might also change this up. And if you look at the colour wheel and the colours that I was using there, if I focus on, so they were based on this Titan Green Pale, and the mixes I were using were variations of, it's all in another vlog, but these 3 pigments make up this colour plus titanium white. And so I was mixing just some of the green with this, some of the brown, and then some of the yellow oxide with that. And so then I just mixed up a whole lot of different versions of that to get me to this place. So you can see there's some yellow oxide in there. This is the straight Titan Pale, and then all the various colours. And so to, yeah, be able to mix this up a little bit, I was thinking particularly of the phthalo green that is in there. And if we look at the colour wheel, the phthalo green lays somewhere, I mean, obviously you can't get all of the colours on a colour wheel, but just as a rough guide, the phthalo green lies somewhere in that range here. And if we come to what would be the complementary, so opposite, we get into these pinky salmons, which is so interesting because it's been these colours, we're back to these colours that I've been drawn to. So I'm quite excited to start to play around with how these might look in a landscape. And I couldn't justify the purchase before of buying the colour to mix that salmon, and hey, now here it is in the studio, and I can go ahead, I can follow the idea and the direction really simply by having already had that paint. So sometimes I think listen to your intuition. If there's a paint colour or something that you can't quite really justify why you've got it, there's things in the background playing along, and I think it's really important to follow those. So what I thought I'd do, we'll just do a little bit of playing in the sketchbook and see what sort of colour combinations and things happen with these, with the Titan Green Pale as well. So here's our Titan Green Pale. I love this colour so much. And the phthalo green is such a strong tinting strength colour. So let's just get it down into, so you can see this is similar to these colours, just a lot more white. And we'll see if we can just get that down a bit into somewhere there, actually, rather than just straight white, because it goes so minty. Let's mix a bit of these two to try and get something similar to this. That's quite nice. Let's just, because I did in the sketch have it straight, so let's just go with that and have, you see how transparent of a colour it is too. It's the phthalates are wonderful colours where they've got this transparency to them, but a really strong tinting strength. Quite fascinating. And here's our, let's put them together. So you can see straight away what complementary colours do is play off each other. They give this push-pull, and you can see that they're happening straight away. We'll go to our salmon with the white. So we're coming now into these salmony colours. That's lovely. And then the other thing that's interesting to do is to mix your complementaries together. And what it does is it mutes. They mute. So you can see that was probably about equal portions. And we get this lovely olive. We'll mix a bit of white in it so you can see. So this is these two mixed together. So you can see, and then that there's a little bit more white. So you can see how quickly you can develop a colour palette with, what have we got here? 3 colours. 1, 2, 3, and the white. So yeah, if you're wanting to work with a limited palette, perhaps you've only got a few tubes of paint at home, this is, or if you're looking at how to extend your paint range, buying some complementary colours and yeah, having a good play around. Let's do just a tiny bit. We get a lovely warm brown with that one. Oh, and I like that colour better. That can be a bit muddy for some people, but have a look how these are playing off that darker mud colour. I really like, it's almost like a mushroom, what you would maybe refer to as a mushroom type colour when you lighten it off. Yeah, nice. And then what about if we have heaps of that and just a kiss just to mute that down. So that was the straight colour, and that's with just the tip of the brush in the phthalo green. You can see how that mutes that colour down, and it's a nice rusty colour, but I bet that would look great with white. Yeah, nice. And so there actually would be nice on the palette, on the painting together, where you get this very slight variance in colour. Yeah, nice. Lighten it up again. You can see you can spend absolute hours. Ooh, I like that. So important to take notes on what you're doing. It's so easy, as you can see, to just dip your colours in and be mixing all these wonderful things, but it's important to have your notes about what you actually did so you can get back to it. And there's another variant on that. That's really nice. What about with a heap of that? And a variant on that. Hundreds of colours from 3 tubes of paint plus white. Very, very quickly. I'll just show you up close. And of course they're all harmonised because the Titan Green Pale has some phthalo green in it. If you have a look here, it's a very fine print, but PG7 is the PG7. And then its complement in the vermilion, roughly speaking. And yeah, hey, look at that. There's some lovely landscape colours in there. So that will be heaps of fun to start getting some sketching down with those colours. And the other thing that's happened this week, an exhibition ended and I got to pick up a couple of pieces. People are doing it, I think really around the world are doing it really tough financially, so art sales have slowed across the board. So please don't lose heart if you've noticed your sales going down. What's lovely about picking up art that doesn't sell is you get to see it again that you might have forgotten about. And I love this piece. And it's kind of nice to have them still hang around in my space. And this is the other one that I also, if I try and get the reflection off, I also really adore. And I do actually have a class on my website about how I create these pieces. If you go to the Creatives for Creatives section, there's a whole lot of PDFs about a lot of the vlogs I've done, so you can have a written version. And yeah, there's a course, short course on how I create these landscapes, and I've kept it very, very basic, so you can really start, if you're at the beginner level, you can really start to get something on the page. Here is another version of that same, and this is what I talk about in the short course, is how to very quickly get a horizon line, so it places you in the landscape, and yeah, you can very quickly get an image together that, yeah, just so lovely. They're it's hard to sell, but they're really good sellers, those little landscapes too. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely week. Stay safe, and I shall see you next week. Bye.